the best DC superhero movie. A movie that features the most popular DC superhero of all time, Batman. A movie that focuses on what Batman represents to the city. A movie that starts with the word the. Of course, we all know I'm talking about the Batman. Guys, before this movie came out, I genuinely did not like the Batman that much, I'll be honest. Alright, I thought he looked cool and I thought the ideas were interesting. I even knew about the character depth, but I never really cared for it that much. Alright, I will say that during my comic book phase, I really only read Marvel comics and only a few DC comics, which were mostly what used to be my favorite DC hero, The Flash. And my feelings only got solidified after watching what was said to be the best Batman movie and one of the best superhero movies, The Dark Knight. You see, I don't really think Dark Knight is a GOAT, alright? I understand why some people would think that, but to me, most of the mature themes and, for lack of a better term, political stuff was just kind of forced, you know? Harvey Dent will be busting out the organized crime problem in Gotham, which might seem deep, until the guy pulls out a gun in court, and then the man Harvey just grabs the gun and then punches him in the face, alright? A huge organization that apparently supplies for the crime groups has just one representative that is accessed multiple times, alright? This movie will tell you and try to show you something, but there's just so much stuff that is just straight up not realistic that breaks whatever mature plot points this movie would have had. This doesn't just affect the political stuff either, though. There's also Harvey Dent, which is seen to be a really smart guy, and then he just flips coins to influence his decisions because that's what he does in the comics. After suffering insane trauma with an extreme amount of hatred and anger, Joker convinces him that he's not actually the cause of his girlfriend dying. So that's when Joker gives him an opportunity to kill him, and Harvey obviously has to flip a coin because that's what he does in the comics. This, of course, could just be like chopped up to like Joker just being a super good, like smart guy, you know, that he convinced him somehow. But, you know, that's just kind of told to us. Like, is Joker really that good at convincing? Or did that just happen because it had to happen in the script? The movie is also cut with some really weird little transitions that just like plain cuts to the next scene. This is really weird, especially since there are some Marvel tier jokes that just stop the movie in their tracks before the transitions, you know. Obviously, there is good here, you know, like the best iteration of the Joker ever. Joker is just so good, even if some of the political stunts and impacts aren't really believable. I also think the tension in this movie that it can build up sometimes, it's awesome, you know. I like the messages that happen with, like, the people. That boat bomb scene was really cool, dude. However, the biggest problem was Batman himself, alright? No, Batman was not overshadowed by the villains. He was just an actual bland character. Alright, Bruce Wayne might as well be called Robot Wayne because he's just normal man. Alright, really a contrast from Batman with his ridiculous voice. The world's greatest detective hacks every phone to get an edge in combat with the sonar radars. Genius, alright? Also, the action just plain sucks. Like, it's trash, alright? So yeah, best Batman movie called Batman, and it's my least favorite character in the movie. I was worried about this new Batman movie, alright? But my man Alex was the push for me to give this movie a chance. And bro, he did it. Alright, he was right. The biggest thing that everyone's missing about this movie is the production. No, I'm not saying that this has the best CGI graphics. The movie has elite filmmaking. Alright, every shot, every set piece, every sequence is just so thought out. Alright, every scene, like almost every scene in the movie will just floor you with its beautiful cinematography. Alright. Like, seriously, dude, every reviewer will just sit there, watch the movie and say, I give the story a 7, pretty good story. But bro, movies are so much more than just stories. One of my favorite things about this movie was Gotham. The aesthetic, the atmosphere, the people. In the first 10 minutes, I was more invested in the city than in any other Batman movie. Than in any other movie in general. A big part of Batman is his city, and in this story, Batman is just trying to find out what he means to the city. And I think it's just so much more impactful when he realizes this because we know what the city is, alright? This is a similar arc to the one in Dark Knight, except in Dark Knight, there's almost no focus on the city itself. Most movies with Gotham just throw extra trash bags on the street and call it a day. but the insane amount of effort that went into Gotham in this movie made it feel alive and full of character, and the quality showed. There are a lot of political points in this film, but they actually feel natural because nothing straight up ridiculous happens. But another big part of the movie is the investigation part of it. Batman's the world's greatest detective has been like Batman the Black Iron Man with bat technology. But this movie fully embraces the classic character and pairs him up with the ultimate contrast to this idea with the Riddler, making for an excellent mystery movie because the execution is so good, bro. It is really engaging to see Batman and Gordon work on the mystery step by step. The pacing is insane in this movie. For 3 hours, that's impressive. The mystery points here are also really clever, you know? Riddler isn't just told to be a super smart guy. There's just so much here that you genuinely have to think how long it took to come up with. Also, on a personal level, this movie is great. Batman in this movie is just a really great character. Bruce Wayne, too. I will say that sometimes Bruce doesn't show as much emotion as I thought he would, but he doesn't have to, alright? And he probably shouldn't have to, because it's always been kind of a disconnect to see how separated Bruce and Batman can be. Guy fueled by tragedy acting like a normal Joe, you know? But here, he has a really engaging and well-executed arc. An arc for Batman finding his meaning in the city, and an arc for Bruce Wayne. I won't spoil it. The Riddler is also a big highlight for me. Obviously because of how actually clever he is, but the big reveal was just incredible. I won't spoil too much, but his talk about masks just hit me, you know? It was really interesting, and the way the character played off Batman was just insane, you know? Every character in this movie is good or like insane, and the way they just connect to each other is good, you know? There is just so much in this movie that I obviously can't do justice to how good it is. Just watch the movie, bro, and you'll see. However, the thing that I noticed most about this movie, and what makes it so hard to talk about, is that it feels like so many different pieces brought together where each piece is fully realized and perfected. It's impossible to do it justice without just going through the entire movie, but I think the part where they really got me was in the beginning, with Batman's first monologue, which are insane, all of them are insane. The likable factor when it comes to Batman was just what was most at stake with me coming into this movie, you know? And the masterful cinematography and sound design was perfect. The thugs looking at the darkness like, geez, bro. It really got me thinking about Batman and his character. To lose your parents at such a young age like that, and soaring to make sure that that would never happen to any other kid. But like, I've never really been engaged when that's actually coming into effect. But almost instantly here, I'm hooked on Batman and how his fear is what he represents to Gotham. And that's just one scene. Even though I could literally talk about what this movie does right for hours, the movie does have a little bit of problems, alright? So, for one, I'm still a little bit iffy on the Catwoman romance with Batman. Also, even though the ending was insane, there's this part after the ending where Batman is just driving with Catwoman into the sunset, you know, kind of like Fast and Furious. You know, it didn't really feel as inspired, especially when compared to the wild originality of everything else. The only thing I didn't really like about the Riddler was the last scene, which, spoilers, look in the description if you want to see the score. But yeah, Riddler's talking to a mysterious voice, which honestly was kind of messy. It kind of sounds like he's like talking to a voice in his head or something. I don't know, it's really weird, but anyway, he's talking to like what's revealed to be this ugly ass Joker, bro. Like his laugh is just so freaking stupid, but besides the point. You know, what I fear is how they're gonna handle the future, right? Because is Batman gonna team up with the Flash? Because that would be weak as hell, right? I don't want the Batman connected to some greater multiverse until the time is right, because they seriously have something special here. Batman as a movie is a 9 out of 10, alright? Which in an era where most of the stuff sucks, that is a rare score for me. The Batman is the reason Batman is my favorite DC hero now, alright? And probably in my top 3. And the reason I'm so passionate about this is because, bro, this is hands down the best DC movie of all time and the best Batman movie of all time. Alright, you look at Wonder Woman, The Dark Knight, you know, this is just on a different level. This is a miracle movie, bro. This is the best DC movie, some of the best DC media in years, bro. Alright, This is why I'm so passionate about this, right? Because the future is in their hands. Whoever made this movie, it's in their hands. And I just hope they can at least match the quality of this masterpiece, because it's truly the best DC thing in forever.